All right, so last time we've we started working on the error messages, and now it's time for us to make it actually pass, like make it work. So right now it is finding this "I am an error" message div. However, it's the wrong text. It wants to you must be logged in to view tasks. Okay, that makes sense. Now I don't want to necessarily hard code you must be logged in to view tasks. We want that to actually happen when we try to load tasks. So let's see what we can do here. We're gonna head over to our solution and okay. So first of all, in our store, not that one. Where's our store? There we go. In our store, we notice that our error message is just being set to "I am an error." That's not necessarily what we really want it to be. So I'm going to reset this, and this is now just going to be, we'll just make this a string new. Okay, so it's now just going to be an empty string. Actually, you know what we can do? Default. That makes even more sense. Default. Okay, so now we have an empty string for our error message. Then we want, when we load into our one task page, at this point we need to know, are we logged in? Like, are we logged in or not? And the way we can do that is using a token. So let's just create a block here, and we'll grab a token from the store. And really, do we need the token, or do we just need to know if the token exists? So how about this? Is logged in. So if we do let is logged in equals, let's grab, we're going to grab from the store. So we're going to use Yew.rs. Give it the store type. Okay, we'll get state. We'll map that state. Okay, so here I want to see if we're logged in. This means that we're not is empty, and we know that token is a string. So if we check to see if token is not empty, then we'll be logged in. Now, normally we would do an unwrap or default. However, for a Boolean, if we do an unwrap or default, the default of a Boolean is going to be false, and it's going to, well, let's see what we have here. We might want to sort of do this in the opposite way. And let's just sort of go ahead and glue console log us out for us. We'll do is logged in. And I'll go ahead and label this too, just in case. Is logged in. We should see that print out for us in the console. Unless, of course, well, actually, you know what? I am not at the right URL. We are at just localhost 8080. I need to go to one task. So that's task 1. Okay, so is logged in false. Is logged in false. Okay, so it's in here twice. Okay, that's good to know. Then we're gonna want, so we now know we're not logged in. Something that's that has bitten us and burned us in the past, though, the Udux store always initializes as whatever its default value is, even if it has a value in local storage, or even if it like has been logged in. It's just the first time it loads, it comes as default. Then things load in asynchronously, and then it refreshes all of the components, and now they have the actual data that we want them to have. So it's quite possible that this first one is going to give us a false negative. Because what if we are logged in? So let's try this. Let's actually log in. And we'll just go to a single task. Is logged in. So now if I hit refresh, oh, that, okay, refresh. Okay, is logged in false, is logged in true, true, and true. So there's several refreshes happening right now, but the first one that we got here is a false, and that's dangerous for us, right? Because if we could show the error message when we're actually logged in. That's that could be not great. Because also we're going to check to see, have we sent an error message? Is an error message in existence? Because if one already exists, or if it's at least the one we're expecting it to be, do we want to just like put it out there again? And if we do, then that might cause an infinite loop, which is also, again, not good. What if we do it the opposite? What if we have it so that is logged in? Okay, so our error state is when it's true, and then the normal state is false. Let's do it the opposite direction. So is logged out is going to be if you are empty. Go like this. So now I need actually that out. There you go. So now it's going to start as false and then continue being false. Now let's turn this default into a true. So one thing that we can do here is an unwrap or, and then hand this a default. So you're going to be true. So the first time this component loads, it's true. Hey, we're logged out. And then it's false because we're not logged out. So at least now as this happens, okay, so is logged out. If in the second time this refreshes and we see is logged out, now we know. Okay. Good to know. Okay, so then after this, I want to, we're going to want to set the error message, I suppose. So let's head back into our store. I don't think we have we don't have a set error message function. So let's add that. Gonna make this a stir just to make it a little bit easier to write the error message and send it on in here. First things first, to move this into the block, I can't move a stir, so we are going to clone it into a string at this point. Now we have that, we can do our dispatch reduce. We'll do a move store Okay, so we're going to do store dot our error message and set that to be this error message. Okay, so in one task, I want to now set this whenever we're okay. So if we're logged out, so if is logged out is true, and my logic I'm trying to think about is like if it's true by default, then that may be if if I think it's like if logged in and then set that to be true right away. I'm it's easy to like confuse myself, especially since I have a little bit of dyslexia. I constantly mess up this type of logic. So let's think about this a little bit. So I want to if we're logged if we're logged in, we don't do anything at all, right? So that would be our first thing. If we're logged in, but we know that there's going to be multiple re-renders, and the first one we cannot trust. We could count re-renders, uh, but at the same time, the second time we come here might be the first time if like it's not the initial load. Like if I send this as like a bookmark, if I save this as a bookmark and reload it, that's going to be multiple re-renders before everything is loaded. If it's the like if I navigated here from the front page, the first time I will be logged in and everything will be fine. So I can't just count renders and go that way. Um, we're going to have to code defensively in case the first one is not right, but also in case it is right. Okay, so the end state is if we're logged out, we do not have a token, and there is no error message. Okay, so if we're logged out, so if this is true, and um, there is no error message. So we also need to get the error message. Okay, so let's get error message out. I'm gonna clone this out instead of doing the same trick of getting just a boolean for it because I want to see what that error message is. If it is the error message that we're going for, then we can ignore it. Otherwise, we're going to set it to something. Okay, so we'll unwrap our default this. Now this is going to be an empty string the first time, and then it might be something. Okay, so now we have a string and a boolean here. So let's also, okay, we have is logged out. Let's also try, I guess, like current error message. Okay, so is logged out is false. Error message is an empty string, and it starts with true and empty string. Now, if I actually log out and we head back to tasks 1, we get a is logged out true, true, empty string, both of them. Okay, now if I hit refresh, I get true, true, empty string, both of them. So that's going to be the first time it hits here is going to be like, hey, we're not logged out, or we are logged out. So maybe this will be fine. So we'll have to play around with it and see if it works for us. So now that we know that we have our is logged out and our error message, we can set. We can also set. Oh, we might need to use a use effect for this, and that might help too. The reason why I'm thinking we might need to use a use effect for this is because if I set the error message and we're in a logged out state, setting the error message is going to cause a re-render because we're grabbing that and Yew.rs is going to re-render us. Then after 10 seconds or so on, I can't remember exactly how long, it's been like a day or two, since we coded that section, it's going to delete the error message, which will cause another re-render. And then it will say, hey, we're logged out and there's no error message. We should set a new error message. And that's going to be an infinite loop of just constantly having an error message up, which is not exactly what we wanted. So we should do the use effects. We're going to have to do a use state to set up our, like, have we loaded yet? Let's do that here. So we'll do a let loaded. We're going to use a store to like mark to record down inside of the state, have we loaded yet? So use store. Oh, sorry, use state. There it goes. Use state, our initialization function, and I just want this to be false. We have not yet loaded. Then here, instead of these, we're going to do a use effect. Okay, so our callback, we're going to need a move for these. And down here, we're going to need to return that. Okay, what do we want to do here? If we are loaded, so it's false. So if so dereference loaded. So really it's going to be like if not loaded, right? So if not loaded, do I do the bang in front of the asterisk or behind? Actually, I think it's going to be something like this. We're going to asterisk inside of parentheses, have this happen, and then check to see, okay, if you're a false. So if you're not loaded, you need to be not loaded yet. And we need to be logged out. So this is going to be our is logged out. And we need to have the error message has to be either empty or not the error message that we're planning on using. So let's right now just check to see if it's empty. So an error message is empty. If all three of those things are true, then we're going to go ahead and I guess just get the dispatch and set that. So okay, now we should have everything that we can move in here. So if this is the case, then we want to now set the error message. So we're going to do store. Set the error message, pass it in the dispatch, pass it in. Well, so what's the error message we want to send in? We want this to be what Cypress is expecting. You must be logged in to view tasks. And that's it. That's all we cared about. Oh, the other thing is, as soon as we do this, we then also want to set, well, that's not necessarily true, right? I don't want to only send loaded the first time this happens. If this is not loaded, if not loaded, I also want to now set loaded. So it's going to be loaded.set to be, now it's true. We are loaded. Okay, you're not yelling at me here, but my fans are starting to go, which, okay, so you must be logged in tasks. It disappeared. Okay. Let's try this again. If I hit refresh, you must be logged in. Wait 10 seconds. It disappears. Okay, excellent. That's exactly what we wanted. Is just to show that error message. Okay, so let's head back to Cypress here and rerun all these tests and see if we can get all the way to the end. Feel like we're getting that error message displaying at the wrong time sometimes too. Like I think I saw that when we were supposed to be logged in. Okay, so that disappears. Now this test waits for 31 seconds in case you want that error message to last a lot longer, which we might do in a future video where we try to put in some animations. But let's, this should be happy now. All the tests should pass, but I think I saw a problem. Let's see. Expected data test error not to be visible. Oh, but it never found it because we're doing an if statement, so it didn't even create it in the DOM. So it's not even that it's not there, it's that it couldn't be found. That's interesting. Okay, so I wanted, so not be visible is obviously different than just gone without a trace. What can we do with that? That's in error message. We do this, okay, so if the message is empty and the timer is none, we don't see what is that doing. Okay, so okay, if the message is empty, then we don't display this whatsoever. I kind of wonder if we want to set a class on this and have it be a display none in the case that the message is empty. So instead of doing this if statement here, it would almost be something like, I don't think we can do an if statement inside of here. So we're gonna have to choose a like a series of classes to go. No, it wouldn't be in here. I know that in BB text, I think we can give it a class, right? Yeah, we can give it an optional class here. I think that'll do it. So we can do like a display none. So let's try. Can I? Yeah, I don't think I can do something like this. Where we then say class equals. That's an option. So an option actually that'd be pretty simple. So let's do this up here. We're gonna do a let like hide class, like hide class equals, okay, so if the message is empty, I want this to be a sum. Yeah, we want you to actually be a sum. And inside of it, we're going to put a string of, I guess, let's just do like hide. Then if we have an else here, we'll do a none. I don't think we've tried actually putting through an option before. Usually we just say, hey, we're just gonna throw in the thing. You're upset because you don't want that there. You come down to that sort of there. Then we can do class equals hide class. I could do like an unwrap or default or something like that. That could work too. You're upset. If and else have incompatible types, I want a sum and a none. Oh, no semicolon, please. So that way hide class is an option. That passes through. You are upset here. Why are you upset? As it matches this, but has a different indentation. This file contains an unclosed delimiter. So let's see, on line 10, unclosed delimiter. 49, this delimiter might not be properly closed. 57, it matches this, but has a different indentation. Okay, so it thinks it's this one, but we have like one more. There we go. That makes it a little bit happier. Okay, so that technically works. I want to come back to here and I want to inspect you. We have data test error. Oh. P class normal. For a short while, we see this hide here, but only when it's displaying, which is, I think, the opposite of what we want. So if the message is empty, we want to hide it. So then I want style sheet. Okay, so style sheet is displaying just for this div class. So I want to add another div around this. It's not like that, like this. Okay. Now we load the style sheet on this div here. Then we have one more div and then the BB text. So this is going to be the first level div. So let's give you a class of, let's call it like error message. And we'll say you are error message, all of you inside of there. And then we can now do, if it's a hide, I want to have it a display none. So now you're here. And you still go away. Can I still find that? So like we have this section right here, this one. Here's our error message, our span, our p tag. It is here, but it is hidden. Okay, so that should make this happy. Something else that I noticed, however, is I believe that if we are logged in and we go to a task, we get this error message for 10 seconds, which is not correct. We actually are logged in. So I messed up my logic here. So problem, we are logged in at this point in time and we're showing the error message. So we need to figure that out now. So back to one task. So in our use effect, okay, so we're not loaded. I actually want to, so we went there from like a normal task, and that seemed to, that trick that got this. Let's do a console, a glue console log. I just want to see what is loaded, what is logged out, and what is our error message. You need to be, we'll just go ahead and clone you. Okay, so at this point in time, true, false. So true, false, empty. True, false, you must be logged in. So then we set that. So this was, okay, so it first started with false, true. So it was loaded, we're not loaded. Okay, so that's false. That makes sense. It's true because is logged out is true because of our default. Let's try unwrap or default here. Instead of my cleverness, let's just make it be a false to begin with. Okay, so now I think it refreshed with the error message still set, so I have to wait for that to disappear normally. That resets that state. Okay, so refreshing doesn't hit us. If we navigate into it, it doesn't hit us. If I log out, but this also doesn't hit us. So we have a false, false, empty, and then a true, true, empty. So maybe we need to check this every single time to see if we have sent a error message before. And so maybe we don't check to see if we've loaded, but rather whether or not we have submitted any kind of error. What can we do for that? So it would be less of if not loaded. It's more of like, hey, if we're logged out and if our error message is empty and we have not sent this error message before. So maybe instead of loaded, let's update you to be, how about like sent logged out error. So that's false to begin with. So if this is false, we then send this out and we also then set it now. So we say sent logged out error. We set you to be true. Then we don't need you at all. And let's see if this makes you happy. Okay, so we got the error message. It disappears. I don't get an infinite loop. That's good to know. Let's head back to here. Let's log in. We're going to go into a task, and I do not get an error message. Okay, excellent. So let's run our Cypress test again and see if this is going to be happy now. I think it is, and I think we're not going to see all of those error messages displaying that shouldn't be displaying. All right. So far, so good. Error message disappears. I set this to be 30 seconds to give a little bit of a little bit more time for the user to read it. I think we'll set it to 30 seconds at the very end. So when we're like manually testing it, it's not killing us right away. Hey, and it now could find the error message, but it was hidden. So perfect. Then all of our tests are now passing. So that, like, feature complete wise, we now have our application. Now, are there still things that could be done to make things a lot better? Of course, definitely. There's a lot of error messages that we're not pushing out there, for example. There's just a lot of UI and UX that is not that great. We have error messages coming from our server that we could push into the store, return to our front-end components that then push into the store, as opposed to sort of like handling them on our own. That being said, all of those, I have confidence. If you've gotten to this point, you can implement those on your own. And so I look forward to you now being able to do that and build whatever kind of UI applications you want. But we still have another video to do. I want to play around with animations and see if I can get that error message to sort of like fade in and out. But that's going to be next video. I'll see you then. Bye.